Hi guys, today we have a great game between Erigaisi Arjun and Saleh playing TePe Sigeman Tournament Malo on 4th May this year. So yesterday, Erigaisi Arjun had the white pieces and he started with E4, C6, D4, D5, F3, D takes C4, F takes C4, E5, Knight to F3, Bishop to G4, pinning that knight, and we have a C3. Opening used today is Caro-Kann advanced variation. With this c3 move he strained the center, so it was his starting idea from this opening. Knight to d7, bishop to d3, knight to f6, castling king side, bishop to d6, king to h1, castling king side blacks also, bishop to g5, put the pin on that queen, so he responds immediately with the h4, kicking that bishop to h6, kicking that bishop to h4, queen to c7, remove from that pin, and we have a knight from b to d2, bishop, pawn to b5, rook to c1, nice developing move from the rook, and it's always nice to have a rook on the same file as enemy queen. a6, we have a4, knight go to h5 with the idea to jump to f4 and maybe later pick that lonely bishop to d3. h3, he didn't move his bishop, he jumped with that knight to f3 and tried to capture that white bishop on d3, so he moved his bishop to b1, b takes f3, rook takes f3. He also can grab this bishop with the knight, but he chose the rook, and we have knight to g6, attack this bishop, so he moved the bishop to f2. We have c5 from Salem and knight from d to f1. And next move is c4, and this isn't a good move. It makes a problem for the black because he left a strong center to the white, as we see, and we know who to control the center will have better chance to win the rest of the game. We have knight to e3 from Erigaisi with the idea to put the knight in that strong d5 or maybe f5 square, and from that square he control almost all table. Rook to d8, put the rook with the same file as enemy is also always good, and he removed the king from the d file, and I have a nice threat to maybe later deliver mate to the h7 square if the positions open up. We have rook to f8, rook to f1, knight to f8 from Saleh, and we have knight to d5. The monster knight is on the center, so he must move that queen to c8. Bishop go to e3, and look, these rooks, both of these rooks are aiming that f7 pawn, and bishop from e3 aiming that h6 pawn, maybe later will sacrifice himself, and all of white pieces are really good coordinated and put really nice to the attacking. He played knight to h8, trying to defend this bishop. We have h takes b2, a takes b5, b3, bishop to b8, bishop takes c4, b takes c4, b takes c4, and we have queen to f2, and put on another great piece to put more pressure to this f7 pawn, and Erigaisi defend that with the queen b7. If you think this move f6 is a good move, it isn't, because of this variation. You sacrifice your rook, and when you collect that rook, you have really nice fork, and your king is in the really trouble. White is completely winning, and the black king is on terrible square. So that's why we have a queen to b7, sorry, and we have queen to h4. The threat is later. The threat is to capture this h6 pawn with the bishop, and after you took with your pawn, you deliver the fork with your knight. And that's why he put his knight on the g6 square, queen to g4, and queen to c6, knight to b4, attacking the queen, and he removed queen to the d6 file with the idea when the center open up he have maybe some attacking chances on that h1 square. But I think the better position for this queen is to go to the c8 square and trying to exchange the queens. That is his best way to continue this game, but he chose to play on the d6 and d5 from Erigaisi. A really strong positional move, because if center open up, because he closed the center, and he doesn't have any threat for this king. He closed the threats, and black center is completely closed, and queen are losing so many squares, and I didn't want to be in Salem shoes from this position. We have bishop to c7, bishop to a2, aiming that lonely pawn. We have knight to f4, and we finally collect that lonely pawn. Knight to g6, and we have knight to c6, attack that rook, so he removed that rook to a8. We have g3, attack that knight, and Salem didn't move the knight, he played rook to a4, attacking the bishop, and Erigaisi play bishop to d3, but I will show you, let me check another crazy variation. G takes f4, rook takes f4, pawn go to f5, attacking this knight go to f4, and now you don't capture this knight with the bishop, you capture with the rook, so you have this continuation. And after queen move from this threat, you now sacrifice your bishop, rook to g1. Now you collect this pawn and attack the queen, so queen capture, and we have check, and when the king move, you have a free bishop, and from this position you have your pieces are so better. You have two passed pawn, and that is for sure clear win with the correct play. But in the game we don't have this variation. We had bishop to b3, and Saleh collect this pawn on e4 and put the pin, so the threat is now to remove his knight and collect the queen. So Erigaisi remove queen from this threat to the f5. Rook takes e3, so he pick the bishop, and we have rook takes e3, queen to c5. Threat is to collect this rook, so he defend this with f1. Knight takes pawn on d5, and Erigaisi go to queen to d7 with the threat to capture this rook, so he put the rook on the e6, and from this position we have a lot of exchanging. First one is queen takes a knight on d5, queen takes a knight on c6, queen takes queen, rooks take queen on c6, and we have rook to f1 and put another pressure to that f pawn. You cannot play f6 with the pawn because you discover the check. f6, we have exchanging the rooks. G takes f6, and now rook to d3, knight to f6, knight to f8, g4, king to g7, bishop to d5, bishop to b6, c4, and Erigaisi start to march that scary passed pawn. We have knight to g6, rook to b3, attack the bishop, so he removed the bishop to the d4, and we have a rook to b7, again put pressure on that f7 pawn so many times in this game. Knight to f4, trying to collect this h pawn, so he defend with h2, king to g6, king to g3, knight e2 check, knight to f3, knight to g1 check, king to g2, knight to e2, and we have h4, a nice wall with white pawn, so king had no square to escape. He tried to break this wall with this move h5, but we have a bishop to f7, and king go to h6, and after this move bishop to b5, Saleh resign. There is nothing what he can do. White have protect pass pawn and better pieces, so it's a clear win for the white, and that's why Saleh on this 58 move he resigned the game, and Erigaisi win another game. So Erigaisi is leader from this tournament with the 2 win. Tell me what do you think about this game. If you like this game, like the video, and see you next time. I will inform you this tournament every day. See you.